Right, so this is the kitchen readiness video. Basically, I wanted to show you a few of my favorite things. As a chef, I've really learned to simplify. I think, it's easy to get caught up in having all the gadgets and gizmos and all the things. And really, when it comes down to it, we just need some simple key items in our kitchen to help get the job done. With that being said, one of those things is absolutely going to be a good chef's knife. The chef's knives come in a few different lengths. There's 8-inch to 10-inch, 12-inch, things like that. This is what the chef's knife will look like. And if you see here, see these 3 dots? That shows you that the blade goes all the way back. That is a good quality chef's knife for you. If you have a knife that the blade only comes here and it's kind of like glued onto here, that's not going to get you very far. You really want a high quality knife that you know is going to be all the way. The blade's going to run full all the way through. This is a little bit of a larger one, so you can see the different sizes really. I want you to see, it's really what feels good in your hands. And I really advise is to go into a store where you can actually try out the knife yourself. You want to hold it, you want to see how it feels, you want to see if it feels good in your hands, because ultimately if the knife feels awkward in your hands, it's going to be awkward to cut. So you want something that feels really nice and comfortable, okay? With that being said, a lot of people buy like these huge blocks of knives, and it has like so many different sizes and all these things. And while that can be really nice in some way, I want you to kind of break free from that a little bit, because a lot of times those knife kits or those knife stands include knives that you maybe don't even need or won't use very often. So if you can just get a nice high quality chef's knife, that would be your starting point. Another great knife is a paring knife. So this little baby is perfect for like small items. If you want to like peel an apple, peel an orange, cut up some, garlic, things like that, things that are small. This knife is your go-to for that. This gets the job done. It's so perfect. Okay, so this is another one. This is actually a boning knife. This is used to break down like a whole chicken. It's curved so that way you can kind of really get into where you need to get. This is also a really a good one to have on hand when you're really doing some really good cooking in your kitchen. Okay, this is a honing rod or honing stick, and this basically is what keeps your knife sharp, like on a daily basis. Something you want to use every time, right before you're going to do some cutting. You want to do a really quick just a quick run on this, and you'll make sure you have a sharp knife. It does not sharpen your knife. It just keeps it, nice where it needs to be. It retains the sharpness. All right. With that being said, those are my main recommendations for knives. With that, you don't really need much more than that. I like to have a really good, just a nice big spoon. We do lots of scooping, lots of things. This is actually a pan sauce spoon I thought you guys might like. I normally really like to use this. Just scoop out my pan sauce and it drizzles over nicely. This is a good tool. I love to have different bowls that I love. Whenever you are prepping foods, you want to have dishes that you love, dishes that you like to use, and I keep multiple bowls that I love on hand. Some good measuring cups. Simple things. Everybody has these kind of things in their kitchen, but they are a must. Plates. Again, we'll talk about bowls you love. Plates. I love having plates that I just enjoy using, that feel beautiful, that feel simple, that I know that what I'm going to put on the plate is going to look beautiful because the simplicity of the plate, Sometimes if you have a really ugly plate and you put some pretty food on it, it's probably going to make your dish maybe not look so appealing. So if you pick really simplified, beautiful plates, your food will stand out. And those who you serve will just love it even that much more. A whisk, gotta have a whisk, and a nice little, rubber spatula is really nice because you can kind of, if in your pan, the way that it's built or the way that it's made, it's easy to scrape down the sides and stuff. So I love this baby. I love to have little bowls so I can kind of throw just like little things when I'm mise en placing. So I love to have little bowls. I also love nice, beautiful wooden bowls. Again, I like to use these for salads. They make things look beautiful. But I also just use them, I'll just eat out of these sometimes. And it just feels so, I don't know, it's nice. And I don't know, I'll feed my kids like a big old salad in this. And they love it. Salt and pepper. I love to keep my salt in a bowl. Because then I can actually pinch of salt instead of shake it. So you can't really see how much salt that you're adding to food if you are using a shaker or even a salt grinder. You can't really see, and salt's such a personal thing. You really want to know how much salt you're putting it on. As for pepper grinders are cool. You can see and everything. But I, currently have salt and pepper in containers. As for kitchen goodies, that's the main kind of utensils and whatnot. I love to have a really nice, saute pan. This is carbon steel, so it gets kind of discolored. That's why it looks like this, but it's kind of just made that way. But a nice, really good, high quality pan that you can, stainless steel is a good option. This one's a good option, but it just has some upkeep. I love cast iron pans too, so those are one of my favorites. Another good thing I would recommend is having a nice Dutch oven pot. So this one's a little bit of a smaller one. It's not too big, but it's one of my favorites because of that fact. It's not too big and it's not too small. Now, if you have a big family, you're probably going to want a nice large cast iron. But these things are so nice because the heat is just the heat distributes really nicely. You can get some really good browning, and then you can do multiple different cooking techniques with this kind of thing. It's also nice to have a nice big, big pot for boiling water, steaming, things like that. I love to have this a nice big pot for so many different things. Those would be the main things in regards to cooking. Now, let's get into a little bit about what kind of things I like to keep in my pantry and what things I recommend for you. Of course, it's going to be unique. All of us are different. We all, eat different foods and include different types of items in our life. But I just want to give you a rundown of the kind of things that are really good to have on hand to keep in your pantry, to make things simple, to be able to whip up a dish whenever you need, So I love to keep pastas. I tend to buy a lot of gluten-free pastas. I feel like we are now in a day and age where we have so many options. We really can find a lot of goodies on the shelves that weren't there anymore. But just make sure to always pay attention to ingredients. Make sure things are simple. For instance, this box, the only ingredients is yellow lentil flour. That's it. That's good. So, again, we're in the 21st century. And yes, I do love making my own chicken stock. But I'm also a busy mama of 3 and all that good stuff. So I love to keep just some nice organic chicken broth containers in the fridge. And again, we have so much access in our grocery stores nowadays, and a lot of good high quality products that we can choose. So just pick something that is, that you feel comfortable getting, and just kind of stock up. If we'll cover more towards the fall. We'll really go into making our own chicken stock and everything like that. But at this point in time, I just recommend having this kind of stuff and keeping it. It makes the job easier, right? We're all busy. We all got things to do. So, I also love keeping things like quinoa bags and rice bags and lentils, things like this. So these are really good to have on hand because, first of all, you can keep this in your pantry for however long you need, for the most part, and then it'll be ready. Tomato sauces, diced tomatoes, and just different peppers that you love. Really nice to have available. Dijon mustards if you want to use for vinaigrettes. We'll get into that more. And also, you can use the Dijon mustard in pan sauces and things like that. So you can really just play with things. I also love to keep coconut cream and these kind of, again, I don't really keep a lot of like canned vegetables and things in my pantry because I do tend to focus on more fresher approaches with that. But for things like this, like tomato sauces, coconut cream, you know, it's really good to have on hand. Things like hearty sweet potatoes and just potatoes in general. Onions, when you start cooking in your own kitchen, you will find that these type of things are just automatic things you just know you have in your kitchen. I always know I have an onion somewhere in my kitchen. Well, in my basket, but I love herbs. I love keeping fresh herbs all the time in my fridge available. We use them for so much, and you're going to find more and more that as you get cooking in your own kitchen more and more, you're just going to love to keep fresh herbs on hand. They're great to garnish your food. They're great for adding flavor to foods. As time goes on, we'll really just talk about this more and more and more and get even deeper into herbs.